going on, everyone? Sneaky Mofo here, and today we're going to hack Starbound 1.0. For those of you who want the cheats and that's all you're interested in, I'm just going to do a quick demonstration of how the cheats work, and then you can look below in the video description to get a link to go download the cheat table, which you will need Cheat Engine for, of course. For the rest of you, I'm just going to kind of go through how I found the stuff that I found so far and discuss some things like defining a variable using assert, so that if someone goes to enable a cheat, then it's not going to potentially crash their game because it enables and something changed with like a game update or something like that. And then also a little hacky thing that I like to use when I'm initially creating invincibility cheats with shared instructions. So anyway, jumping right in to show off the cheats here. The first thing is invincibility. If you have that enabled, then everything just stays maxed out. So if you were in the middle of, your hunger was almost out, if you enabled this invincibility, then what would happen is the bar would just instantly fill right back up. Same with your health, same with your energy. So I'm going to disable it, and I'm going to run my energy down just a little bit. Alright, if I check this, it just refills instantly. If you keep it checked, well, let's enable it again. There we go. Alright, and you can just swing for days. So that's the invincibility cheat. The next thing is fast break blocks. This only works on the blocks for now. I'm still figuring out what I need to make it work on trees and vines and stuff like that. So anyway, this is basically it. Everything just takes one click on it or whatever, and the blocks will break. So if there are vines beneath a block, then the block still won't break as well. So I'll be working on getting the rest of that sorted out, but for the moment, any ores, stone, background, metal, any of that stuff that's like a block, that will just instantly break for you. The next thing, infinite resources. Now this one, see how I have 78, what is it, cobblestone? Yep. Now if I go to use that, let's see. I don't know why it keeps freaking disabling. Here we go. Alright, so now you'll see that it is just, I can keep on using it. It doesn't run out at all. So for building and stuff like that, this should be spot on. And foreground, background, whatever, same thing. Alright, so that is infinite resources. The next thing is max items. Now if you enable that, okay, what that'll do is you can only do this with stackable items for now, so this won't duplicate like a sword that you have or something. Not yet, at least. So if you have a stackable item, like let's say this wood here, alright, I right click once, then if I right click again, see how I have 1,000 there in my mouse, right? And then if I take one out of here and just put it back in there, it takes it to 1,000. And also while that's selected, if I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, some of this stone here. See how that went to 1,000? Now every time I collect stone, I'm going to be getting tons of it here. So watch out, because it will give you tons of resources. So that's max items. Next thing is max money. Anytime you pick up pixels in the game, as soon as you do, it will take your max pixels to 9999999. It's 69999 right now because I had all the 9s and then I died while I was working on the last one here, which is keep money on death. So if you don't want to necessarily cheat and give yourself max money, but you also don't want to lose your pixels when you die, you can just enable keep money on death. I'm going to go ahead and kill myself here. Squish. Alright. And typically it says you lose 30% of your pixels, but you see I still have my pixels. Alright, I'm still working on some other cheat ideas, like don't lose your items when you die, stuff like that. But for now, this is what I've got. So go check out the description below for a link to download that. And for the rest of you who are sticking around for the cheat engine stuff, Um, most of these are really quick. So the keep money on death, all that I did was I ended up finding the address that has your pixels in it, and then I just saw what accesses the address, and whenever I died I looked for the particular instruction, and what I found was, bring this back over here, go to address, oops, why did I do that? I wanted to go to this. Alright, so consume money. This is its own little function here. And I guess, well, so we can see here it's referenced in 3 different places. So this is called in 3 different places. So you could either just go nop the calls. You could try that. Or what you could do is, what I've done is I've made it to where whenever you enable it, this just changes to return. So the call happens, it comes straight to return, and it just goes right back to where it was. And this is like, I did it with this, with the function itself, so that I didn't have to go to these 3 calls over here and nop each of these 3 things, you know, because then effectively you have to, if you wanted to do that as your cheat, you would have to create a longer cheat. Instead, I just changed this one thing in this one place, and we're good to go. Alright, so while we're here, this is a good chance to discuss define and assert. So define is a way for you to define a variable for Cheat Engine in AutoAssemble here. And so what I've done is I've taken this, and you know, this is a small script, so I didn't necessarily need to do this, but instead of putting this in different places throughout the script, I just take this one long unwieldy sort of thing here, this name, and I apply it to this variable name, keep money. So anything outside of enable, like anything above enable, this stuff will apply to the entire script, whether it's inside enable or disable. So when I define keep money with whatever, now I can just use keep money in all these places throughout the script, and it knows I'm talking about this. Alright, now assert is, so you see here 48, 8b, 81, c0, blah blah blah. Assert looks at the place here that you're looking for it to do whatever you want it to do, and it looks for the bytes there, and it says, alright, so when I click enable, before it will enable, it's going to go to keep money, which we've defined as here. So it's going to go here, and it's going to look for these exact bytes. And if it sees that those bytes match, it will enable the cheat for you. Otherwise, it just won't enable it. And that's a good, it's just good for your users or whatever, so that if something changes in the game, and this remains the same, but the bytes change because of something they changed with an update, you know, this makes it so that it won't make their game crash if they inadvertently enable something that's different, right? So that's that. That's define and assert. So the next thing that we have here is max money. What did I do for max money? Alright, same thing, define, you know, you can have that whole thing plus offset, whatever. You can have just about anything here that you want to reference within your script. I also do assert again. So with max money, let's see what I did here. Copy. Go to address. Alright, so coin item, total value. Alright, so what I do here, let's go ahead and enable the script and watch what changes here. Alright, so what I've done is I've gotten rid of this call here to item count, which, you know, I followed and I traced and I ascertained that your coins have something to do with this, but, well, let's just go follow. Look at all the other things that have stuff to do with this particular function. All these other calls. And if you're wondering how I got this to do this, what you do is you go to view referenced functions, and if you do that, it'll go through this process where it looks for where a function is referenced. And so with any of these here, you can double click on any one of these to go to that particular call. But suffice it to say, what we have here, what we can see in the disassembler, is there are all these calls to this one function. So to change this function is probably not what we want to do. So I'm going to go back, right? And so what I did was I just knopped the call to this. So we come to this coin item, whatever. We get rid of the call. We get rid of this, which actually, you know, does what it needs to do with the value of money based on what it gets as a return from this call. I just knopped those two things, and then I just moved the max amount of pixels or money into RAX, which is the register that it sees your money in whenever you pick up money in any way. And then it just follows through and goes back, and no big deal. All right, so with that, you know, it's like I saw how many bytes I had to work with. So let's disable it. I knew I wanted to just get rid of the call, get rid of this. So how many bytes did I have to work with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 bytes. So what I'll do with this, since I know I want to get rid of these, you know, I'll make sure I can find my way back here, and I'll just knob all the instructions that I want to get rid of, and then within all those knobs, then I'll go to the very top, like here, and then I'll double click on it, and you'll see knob here, and then you can just change it to whatever you want. So I put like move RAX, you know, whatever the hex equivalent of 9999999 is, and then ended up with this, right? So it applied all these zeros because this is 64-bit, you know, we're messing with a 64-bit general purpose register here, and then the rest, the knobs, just stayed. So that's how that one works. And next up, we have max items. And this one was kind of funky. I'm still playing around with this. This is just, it's good enough for anyone who wants to have max items, but it's not good enough for what I actually want to end up having as a cheat. So for now, so as I'm working through something, I like to keep notes and comments. So with this, you know, I ascertained that if I changed this, so I did break and trace on this particular instruction, right? And then I looked at the other registers and wanted to see like what's in the other registers. Can I correlate any of those values with anything meaningful? And when I did, RDX has the max value of an item in it. So, you know, put that note there, and then as I go through and just randomly try stuff, like with this, I tried knopping this sub to see what would happen. Keeps adding item to itself. I thought it might be good for duplicating a single item, but the game treats single items, like in my inventory here, like this one item here, this flashlight, it treats it differently than if I have something like this that can stack, an item that can have multiple of itself. So I'm still trying to figure out how I can duplicate an item like this. And a lot of that is just going to be continuing to go up through this and doing some break and trace. But for the time being, what I've done with max, let's see, what am I, max items? Yeah. With max items, so max items plus 2, let's just go ahead and enable the script and see what happens. Alright, so you see this right here? Look at this byte, 5.6. When I disable it, it's 7.6. So all that I did was I'm changing RSI here. I'm changing that to RDX, and that's it. And that just requires the change of 1 byte. So Once again, I reference this, which is here, and then assert bytes to make sure that we are good to go. And then I go max items plus 2, because this, starting at this point at 110, right, the byte that changes is the third byte. Well, 0, 1, 2. So if you're starting from 0, byte 2, but 1, 2, 3, right? So the 7.6 changes to 5.6 whenever we enable it. So max items plus 2. That's why I put that. This is another convenient thing for, like, if you have something like this that has an offset in there. If we were to reference this directly, then we would have to change this to 112 or 112. But with this, we can just put exactly where it needs to be as it's referenced, and then we can just add another offset to that for our purposes. All right, so that's max items. Next up, infinite resources. So with infinite resources, same thing. You're noticing a pattern here. I'm trying to stay away from doing AOB scans or anything like that at the moment. So anyway, let's go here now and see what we have. Memory view, go to address. Okay. All right, so what I noticed here with infinite resources is that, well, let's just go ahead and enable it and see what changes. Okay, I just have a return. So where it comes into this function to modify, well, starbound star item consume. I mean, from that we can kind of gather, well, what does consume mean, right? So presumably anything that's going to come in here to consume is going to take away from or use. So I just tried changing this as well to a return. So none of this stuff even runs. It just returns as soon as something tries to come to here for consumption. So that's that. Pretty much the same thing that I did with max money, I think it was. Okay. Fast break blocks. All right, let's go to this location here. Copy, go to address. Oops. All right, now this one required a good bit of break and trace to find my way here. And oh, man, I was just kind of like throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks, But I found my way to this jump. And basically with this one, as you try to break a block, it looks for, is it damaged enough to break? All right. If it's not, then pass. Then go through don't do this. So with this JB, jump short if below or carry. Right. Once I enable that, I just knock that out so that it automatically goes through this. And doing that makes the blocks break instantly instead of this jump happening and skipping all of this. So this is one example where you don't necessarily always want to try to change this to just jump or something like that. You can try that, change it to jump, change it to different types of jumps, but sometimes you don't want to always take the jump. You want to not take the jump to have happen what you want, So that's what I did with fast break blocks, and that just applies to the blocks. So there's other things like wood. When you go to try to chop down trees and stuff, it takes a while. So I still got to figure that little bit out. The last one and the most involved one is invincibility. This is the most hacky of all of these that I've done so far. Basically, let's see here. Copy array of byte. Paste. Alright. Disassemble this memory region. Okay, so what we have going here is I could still just do a regular code injection, but I just decided to make this one AOB. Right here, this is a shared instruction, and it writes attributes to all kinds of stuff. Enemies, player, other things that I have no idea what it's doing. But for something like this, you know, you can right click and say find what addresses this instruction accesses. And for some reason with this game, it like waits and it lags a little bit before it will attach, and it says, hey, do you want to wait 10 seconds? As soon as I click yes, everything pops up. But see how we have all this stuff here going on? Alright, first off, I'll change this to float and sort it by value. And player stuff, I have all 100s right now. These two right here are probably my hunger. They're counting down. And see how right now my hunger in the game is pretty low. Let's see. I want to go ahead and stop that because it can really make your game lag. As soon as I enable invincibility here, you'll see the hunger just shoots straight up. Alright. But anyway, so with this, I found all the addresses that had to do with like hunger. So hunger, energy, health. There's also breath. And I compared those. I did dissect data structures between all those and for the enemy health to try to find some way to differentiate the player, myself, from enemies and all that other stuff that's going on. I can't find anything. So this is kind of like a little method that I'll use if I want to initially just create the cheat to see how it works, you know. First, what I'll do is I'll check, well, so in this game I could see where max health is. So current health is right here, RBX plus 54. That's your current health, whatever state it is now. Offset 58 is your max health. So I found max health. So I'm like, all right, well, the player, me, my max health is 100, right? So it looks for that and it says, all right, if it's 100, then, well, if it's not 100, then go to the second check. If it is 100, then basically move max health into current health. All right, and then jump to return. So for check 2, it checks if that max value is 70, because that's what the max value for hunger is. It's 70. All right. So if that's not equal, you go to original code. So just do what you were going to do anyway. All right. If it is, then move that max value into the current value. Right. So this provisions for the two stipulations that I have, the two requirements that I have, because energy, health, and breath, those are all 100. So those are covered, and then with the 70, the hunger is covered. However, what this also means is that if any enemies have a max health of 100 or a max health of 70 in those particular offsets, then they will also be invincible. But in this game, the only time that's a bad thing per se is if it's a boss, and you have to kill it. Otherwise, you don't have to kill the enemy, so it's no big deal anyway. And in that case, you would want to disable the cheat and try to damage the enemy and then re-enable the cheat. Well, no, that still wouldn't work because it's basing it on the max health and stuff like that. So I've got to get away from this cheat if I can, if any bosses have these two values, because this isn't really getting the job done like I want. But I'm still studying the game and seeing how it works. So until I get that figured out, this is good enough for someone who just wants to be invincible, basically. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much it. Those are the cheats I've got so far. I've got a lot of other ones lined up that I want to do, so there may be a part 2 that I'll do at some point, or I may just keep it at this. We'll see, you know, which direction the wind blows me in with this. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope that you got something entertaining, something informational out of this, and I'll just be back soon with another video. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.